This has been a huge challenge, and I know of no president who has led during the type of pandemic that we've had, who was hugely challenged as our people were dying, as unemployment was rising, the economy was going down, the unrest that had an impact on our economy, and the type of floods that we have had. So all these challenges have come one after another, and they have been addressed. They have been addressed, and of course people can judge whether that has been sufficient or not. But I have been very clear in saying, having been elected, I must address all these challenges that face our people, and have done so to the very best of my ability in terms of addressing all these challenges. A number of people often say, President, you got into office at the wrong time. You get into office to even address state capture. And yes, that has been my lot as a president, but I have given it the best shot and will continue to do so in service to the people of South Africa. Thank you.
It's how's it, everybody? Welcome back to FANatics. As always, I'm joined by some of my esteemed colleagues today. I have the privilege to be joined by Simo and Sholan, coming to you guys from across Mzansi today. Guys, remember to follow us at Badge of Liberty, where your freedom is worth fighting for. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as Instagram. Now, before the show, we're going into a cold conversation about the merits of the English Premier League, but we've got way more important things to discuss today, particularly because Simo is an Arsenal fan and they top the log. So let's quickly brush past that. And today's important conversation, which we're going to start with, is some interesting changes to the proposed changes to the curriculum at schools. So let's have a look. There was an article that came out in Business Tech last week. We're sharing some of these proposed changes. And the headline titled Massive Curriculum Shift for Schools in South Africa, Including New Subjects, kind of outlines some of the proposals from the Department of Basic Education, which says, I'll just highlight a few things. It says that as many as 38 new subjects will be introduced into schools for learners between grades 10 to 12. And essentially the intention here is to introduce skills and subjects that lend itself towards TVET education post-school, and also, equip learners with skills rather than a tangible academic sort of education. So let me leave it there for now and come to you first on the Sholan. What are your thoughts about these proposed changes? I mean, when I saw it, my first thought was 38 is a lot of subjects, but on the other hand, a shift towards TVET colleges, and you are muted, is certainly, I think, a shift in the right direction. It's one of the best news stories I think we've had around education in all 65 episodes of Freedom FANatics.
Yeah. No, absolutely, Alex. Something I think that we always really encourage is, the opportunity for choice. And that's exactly what is being offered here, for more students to have a broader variety of streams or directions or subjects that they can make use of. And I think that's definitely something to be advocated for. I don't necessarily think that it should stop here, because I would actually say that my suggestion, I assume that there is obviously a specific amount of, types of subjects that are being offered, but my mind would specifically be that there should be a greater introduction of things like robotics, and whether it's technology or artificial intelligence. Like, these are type of stuff that I think should definitely be introduced at a school level already, mainly because that's the direction where the future is going. whether it's the fourth industrial revolution and all these highfalutin terms, the fact remains that that is the direction where the future of the economy should be going to, especially if we want to be a more modern, economy. I think that's definitely something we should be investing in now already. Whether it's China or whether it's the United States, whether it's even in Europe, that.
Oh, we've just lost Sholin there. Obviously, not enough people doing things like coding and bringing us into the digital revolution. Sorry, should I just cut you off there because the internet guards cut you off? But John, just to sum up what the point you're making there about the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes, no, I was just about to say that, like, the big economies of the world, like whether it's China, the Europeans, the United States, they are making investments in that regard because they understand that that's where the future will be heavily dependent on. And I think we should be investing the same and create our next Elon Musk. We actually need a bunch of Elon Musk coming out of South Africa again, in my opinion, because clearly look at how much wealth this man was able to generate. And that's why South Africa cannot be playing catch up. Introducing all this stuff is well and good, but eventually we'll just have to be like, oh no, the world is already 10 miles ahead. Now we need to catch up to them. So I think we need to start now already.
Absolutely. I mean, Seymour, during the pandemic, during our lockdown, the government said that a lot of governments around the world said that there were essential services and businesses that needed to remain open, which was quite an outrageous kind of comment and way of discriminating against who could and couldn't operate their businesses. But I mean, here we've got like an admission that a job is a good job. We've got a huge list here, from literally from A to Z of some professions that sort of programs that they want to offer in schools, subjects rather. I mean, is this a good move in your view? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a great move. It's a great move by the Department of Education to establish like this, and there's actually quite a bit to be pleased about because we now won't have students who are falling by the wayside. School for a long time has been this one size fits all. We're testing the power of recall. Wow, I actually made like a great rhyme there, but now we're going to be giving more diverse options, more diverse opportunity, and there's a lot to be gained by equipping everyone with a certain skill. I think here, education, well, at least the education objectives will be achieved in a much broader sense because no children, well, at least much fewer children will fall by the wayside now, and they'll have opportunities for innovation in any of these fields. I mean, there's welding, there's arts and crafts, and it is true that people, we are all born with different capabilities. So this will best encourage and support that. This will best equip all of our pupils. That's what school children are called, right? Pupils, not students. Yeah, best equip our pupils for the work environment, not just for jobs. They could also be innovators within these fields. So yeah, it's nothing but a good move. And yes, as you said earlier, we now have something positive, to say about education. I think just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the drop off in maths and science, and Sholin, that's not good news for you who wants us to move into robotics and stuff if we possess that type of attitude for maths and science. So there's been some steps taken backwards, but this is it's a much appreciated step forward. We can definitely commend the department for this.
Absolutely. No, we need to celebrate and commend where
take our wins.
We can take something as an Arsenal fan. I'm sure you are only getting used to now.
Top of the league, bruv.
But let's close off this little chat about the introduction of more vocational subjects. How can we still be rolling around with 30% pass rates? Do you think this is a little bit of an admission from the government that you need the skills that society demands? You need flexibility, that kind of more individual, market-related, expansion of ideas and abilities. Is the kind of ideology of like controlling, citizens, the kind of more socialist bent of the government's sort of starting to crack by force of circumstance?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do think that's actually the case, and the reason why they are now being forced to do this. I mean, our Minister of Education, Adam Chekas, has been in the seat. So I'm like, why is this only occurring right now? So clearly she is obviously under pressure. Because she needs to bend to the market, to what the market actually wants and what people actually want, and the skills that are needed for that. I think that's really important, and that this uniform idea that everybody needs to go through the assembly line of what we call an education system, it does simply just not work. And now they clearly need to see, okay, now, and the only unfortunate thing I would say, Alex, is that what about those that have previously already fallen by the wayside? What about those who were disadvantaged to be previously now ready? Who didn't experience these changes? That's an unfortunate situation. And even though we're excited for these changes in the curriculum, I think we're still going to be the ones keeping them to account to make sure that it's not only a nice policy idea, but that it's rolled out even better and more effectively, I think.
That's going to be interesting, actually. Just to add there, the rollout, the effecting of this policy is going to be quite interesting, because there's got to be equipment bought for a lot of these subjects. Like for welding, I'd imagine they'd have to buy those. I don't know what they call those welding machines, but they're very expensive. Like it's going to be interesting to see how those budgets are handled. It's going to be interesting to see how the tenders are handled, because it's definitely going to be rolled out via a tender process. So I mean, it could all fail before it starts, but on the positive side, it is good that we are thinking in this way. It's very good.
Well, I guess like with anything else that the government does, it's like the intentions, we can't just judge it by intentions, right? So, and I think that's the whole thing. That's what the kind of stuff we've got to be thinking about leading to 2024 is like, okay, cool. These are great ideas, but like, will the money be spent on what needs to be spent on, and the like. So I think it's such a good point that you guys do raise it. But let's go for it.
If I can just add, sorry, the last thing. I really hope that I know that they're saying like this is supposed to be like a TV college type thing, where it's like supposed to be a new stream. I hope that these private institutions will actually also take it on board in their curriculum, like have a similar thing to actually compete against what the public sector is doing. I think that will actually show us exactly a clear illustration of how it should be run practically in the case that the government gets it wrong. So I definitely think like those on the private side should be looking at this and being like, okay, we see this is what the government's intending. Let us see how we can maybe not adopt it, or maybe just adjust it, and we will execute it in the private sector the way we see fit. So that would also be a really great alternative to see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to see a whole bunch of competition, different schools offering different subjects, might attract different students, and then you get more competition between schools. So there's a lot of promise definitely being shown here. But let's go into our second and last story, of course, for today, our feel-good feature. Well, actually, the first story is a bit of a feel-good feature for a change. And this one actually came across on LinkedIn. And this is a story about a delivery system, a courier service developed by this gentleman, and his name is Zamokuhle Twala. And essentially, he started this company called Thumela, which uses taxis as courier drivers and taxi ranks as pickup points. So I'm just going to share a little graphic from their LinkedIn page. Actually, it looks like they've received some startup funding to take their business to the next level, and it's pretty straightforward. We've got basically you drop off your parcel at a taxi rank, and then from there, the parcel is given to a taxi driver. You're then given a sort of a PIN, and then you get a collection SMS when that parcel is ready, and your receiver then gets their package at the dedicated pickup point. So, Simo, what are your thoughts when you first saw this story?
Well, firstly, it was, how didn't I think of this? Like, how didn't this thing come up sooner? Because it's actually, this delivery service is actually quite commonplace. But well, at least I can speak for KZN. Here in KZN, I've even actually used this way. Well, not through Thumela, just ordinary taxis. Taxis do actually charge. I think it's like half the fee of what the usual fare would be. So if you're going to travel as a person for 120, then if you're just sending a parcel through, it's like 60 rand. They usually charge there. So it's something actually that's not even new. It's not really that innovative. So when I saw that someone like actually officialized it and like rolled it out in a grander scale, I was like, wow, man, we've been missing this. There's actually like quite a huge opportunity.
And I mean,
it
started in KZN, right? I mean, his whole story here is that he mistakenly forgot his laptop charger at home. And he
actually used the service I'm talking about. He actually used the business he created before, because he just sent his thing through his parcel through a taxi. So yeah, it's good to see another another innovative sort of idea come out, and to see people winning again, and more life to that, man.
No, I think, Sheldon, I mean, what sticks out to me about this, and I've been reading a little bit about informal economies and the like, and I think is, you use the infrastructure that's around you, and just because it's the informal sector doesn't mean that you don't need to formalize these sectors. It's just a way of working within these sectors and understanding people's needs, right?
Yo, no, absolutely. I'm just thinking, this man saw a problem, an issue, and what he did was he found a solution to it, and now he's making money off of it. I'm like, if all of us could just have that mentality, identify an issue, what could make people's lives easier, and produce, or create, or even do a delivery service like this man is. And I mean, there's a market for you right there already. That's really innovative, and it's brilliant. I think on my side, as you're just saying, Alex, I'm just thinking, my guy, all I'm hoping for is that there must not be a politician in our labor department or in our trade or somewhere in KZN, there must just not be an individual who's sitting there thinking, how can I make this person's life harder through some regulation and giving him an overburden.
Well, that's going to happen. It's going to happen because of the taxi industry. He's probably going to run into some issues with the taxi industry at some point, especially if they're not on board with this.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I'm just saying that I really hope that there isn't like somebody who's going to come with like legislative issues, because as official, as a government official, as even the leaders in the taxi business, they think should be like, how can we make it easier for these people to make use of the services we offer? And that's a simple way that we can generate money. I mean, that's all that we need from these people, from these leaders. Is really just to ask the question, how can we make it easier for these young, innovative, energetic individuals to create the business by themselves, to create a source of income that they're not even waiting on anybody to come to them with a handout, Alex.
Absolutely. Simo, you sound like you're eye from above. You're making, it's kind of looking ahead, seeing the darkness that lays ahead. You obviously don't have much confidence that the government and that the government will nurture this kind of talent. And I'm going to give you the final word on this before we go into your reactions.
I mean, all you need to do is to our viewers who are going to be watching this later, is just rewind like 8 minutes and just hear our tone when we were talking about the implementation of the new education curriculum. Like, we were quite despondent, although quite pleased, excited, but we still have that thing. We've got bad trust issues, we've been damaged quite a lot. We've been hurt. So
government here. I mean, can nobody see that?
So it's almost like anything that's positive in our country, you sort of got to take with a pinch of salt, and that's quite unfortunate. That's really sad, actually. We laugh, but it's actually really, really sad. So to spin this and not go in the direction I was going, I'm going to be hopeful. I hope Thumela and much more innovative ideas and businesses like Thumela will come up, and hopefully the government at some point they've got to learn the errors of their ways, and produce an environment that's more conducive to businesses thriving, because that's the only way forward. It's no lie. That's actually a fact. We don't even need to be arguing that. So yeah, let's just hope. We will end on hope.
We'll end with hope, and I think it's such a good message, because I think the kind of the psychological impact of like a government that really doesn't seem to care can take a whole toll on innovation, on people wanting to do things, get themselves ahead and help their communities, help them address the needs of their communities. But guys, on that note, remember, your freedom is worth fighting for. You can catch us at Badger of Liberty on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok as well. I think that's all of them. And on that bombshell, let us hand over to Mbali for your reactions.
Hello. Hi, Alex. Hi, Sholen. Hi, Simo. Welcome to #YourReactions.
Thank you.
Hello, Mbali.
Cool, guys. So today we are looking at an article from one of our own, Vincent Jackson. And the short summary of this article is: many politicians and supposed activists use the cheap excuse that foreigners are guilty of abusing our system to hide corruption and failure, often of their own making. Alex, I'll start with you. What do you think of this summary?
No, I think he's spot on. Yeah, I mean, in the last few months, or let's say, I think one of the major new players on the political field has been Operation Dudula, People's Parliament.
Yeah.
I don't know what Lux Dlamini calls his thing now, that he's not part of Operation Dudula, but I think Vincent's article sort of is premised on the incident that happened outside, I think it was a hospital in, I think, Tembisa, where I think Operation Dudula were, wanted to check where people are from and wanted to deny people entry depending on their nationality, which is absurd. But I think, using, xenophobia is a very, very, very cheap scapegoat. And it seems to be simmering at the moment, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe let's share what our fans, our followers think of Vincent's article. And Ken Watson, his comment is: very few even know what the word means, but they use it. Sholan, I'll give this one to you. What does xenophobia mean?
Yeah, I love when Mbali gives me the difficult one, guys. I enjoy it so much.
Sorry,
But
man.
I'm gonna give it
Let's go.
if I get it wrong. Simo and Alex is there. But from my understanding, xenophobia is at least the fear of something that's foreign, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a person, or something that's just alien to the current context that you live in.
Yes.
So anything that's intruding, you have a fear of that. But obviously has now come to the fact that the xenophobia that people fear are obviously people that come from not necessarily other countries, but specifically other African countries. And that's actually a sad reality. I think xenophobia is not even necessarily a uniquely South African thing, but it's experienced all over the world. I mean, it occurred in probably one of the greatest nations to ever walk on this earth, the United States of America, when Donald Trump, somebody who I actually had a lot of support for and a lot of respect for, one of his failures, in my opinion, was a lot of the hatred spewed against immigrants. And I think South Africans are in a situation where the fear is against people coming here illegally, but we have a danger that we will eventually, that term illegal immigrant or illegal foreigner will disappear, and it will just be foreigners that way. So that's why I really think it's a very dangerous, slippery slope that we can take, because in a moment of anger, when these Operation Dudula folks are going around the hospital, whatever the case may be, they are so angry and so heated up and so emotional, they don't care whether it's illegal or not, or legal in front of the foreigner's name. They only care about getting rid of a foreigner. So
Yeah.
that's a very dangerous route, I think, that we can go in.
Yeah, that was a perfect explanation. See, that's why I chose you, man. The next comment is from Thomas Kunene, and it reads, I feel pity for the human races of whatever origin from which they emerge, who came here in order to try luck and sustain life. Therefore, my big blame goes to all African leaders. They do not have enough African leaders. Simo, do you not have enough African leaders?
Well, we've got a ton. We just don't have the guys who actually do the leadership things. But we've got a ton of people filling positions. We've got a ton of people who are guiding us. Well, not guiding us, who hold the role of someone who would guide us. We've got tons of those. So it's not a numbers problem. It's a competence thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is definitely true. And Nelson says, our tax money, our views, our land, our demands. Alex is a little bit sassy. It's just like, let us do whatever we want to do.
Yeah. I don't really know how to respond.
It's like you're trying to figure out a way to like kindly disagree.
Yeah, maybe.
Because there was that incident with the MEC of Health from Limpopo who like sat at the bed of a Zimbabwean, and like that created a lot of, like a massive stir, and it just made me like really uncomfortable watching that. Like I understand the point, like these are our resources as a country, our tax pays for something like hospitals, but I mean, to me, it's all got to do with legality, and that's why something like the rule of law is so important. You know, is someone here like legally, are they entitled to access services? Then cool, give them services. But I think the problem is now when we're in a situation, you know, when there's not enough of something, that's when people get cranky. So, you know, when you've got, and that's the danger with xenophobia is like, that's, you know, when you have 75% of young people officially unemployed, from the expanded definition, you know, people are desperate, and inflation's going up, bread's more expensive, milk's more expensive, life's more expensive. And that's when people start trying to find scapegoats. And the problem, like back to the first comment, or back to Vincent's kind of thesis, that's when it becomes dangerous. As Simo says, like our supposed leaders can weaponize that. And yeah, I guess rarely someone like, I can't remember who made the comment, but you know, that can amplify that message of destruction rather than like kind of a little bit more of Ubuntu. But again, just coming back to processes, rule of law, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Rose says, point a finger and 4-point back. This attention of foreigners is to take eyes off the failed leadership of this country. I definitely agree. Sholan?
Yeah. I will say that this is just one of the things that our current leadership obviously blames, whether it's foreigners, it won't just stop there. It goes to colonialism, everything, it goes to racism. All of these things are problems, but meanwhile, they are the ones who are stealing money.
But Sholan, but like Cyril said at the beginning of Freedom FANatics, he's addressing the issues, bro. Come on.
And he's giving it his best shot, Sholan.
You know, best shot. He has everything.
This is his shot. I don't want to know what a bad day for Cyril looks like. Because clearly this is the worst of the worst, my guy. But yeah, no, I will say, Mbali, that everything is a problem. Everything is the reason except the current leadership, especially in our national government right now. I'm just thinking, Alex, you were mentioning about like it's the legality or the illegality of the person that matters. I agree with that, and I will even go saying like our Home Affairs Minister then there's already a problem with, for example, illegal foreigners. Then he goes on and removes the ZEP, the Zimbabwean exemption permit. So it's a legal permit, and it takes it away from Zimbabweans, and going back and forth, reversing it. Still not much clarity on that. So now he's making it harder for people to actually be in South Africa, while he's blaming them for coming here illegally. So that's a little hypocritical. And that's why I think, everything is the problem, Bali, for some reason, except for the ANC leaders.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I'm seeing here in the comments is that everyone literally is saying they're blaming everyone else except for themselves.
Yeah.
And the last comment of the day is from Pam, and she says, or they, we know where xenophobia leads to. Exactly what happened in Germany, the blaming game, scapegoating the Jews. Alex, educate them yourselves, no excuse for ignorance. Mr. Alex, I'll give this one to you.
No, it's
We
true.
should give history of what happened in Germany, actually.
There was only a Holocaust, and
Just millions of people
just millions
died,
of
nothing
people
much.
died because of
Small stuff.
National Socialist sentiment and scapegoating a specific racial group. Nothing too major. But
Yeah.
I think what the thing is, they like in Malema was going. I don't know. He went to some restaurant in Centurion or whatever it was, and then he said like, I want to see a list of where your people are hired from. You're not hiring enough South
Yes.
Africans, and like.
Yeah.
Some people liken that kind of behavior to like sort of the stormtroopers of the National Socialist Party in Germany in the 1920s, 1930s, that ultimately executed the Holocaust, etc., etc. So I think it's a great point. Like we don't need history to repeat itself, and I think that's why someone like Vincent really wanted to write this kind of article, is to be like, guys, whoa, just calm your guavas, like this is not a good thing, this is why.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
so glad to see that there's been so much comment and reaction to it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Alex, if I can just add, that's exactly a good point, because eventually it starts with, now the foreigners across the border are the problem. Then it will come back to South Africa. If we even remove all of the foreigners in this country, all of the problems we have right now will continue to exist. Then it will eventually go to now it's not the foreigners, now it's again the white folk, and then it's the white monopoly capital, and then the next people it's again the colours, then it's the Xhosas, and then it's the Zulus, then it's the Vendas, and it will continue being a blame game and a blame game and a blame game, when it's clearly the leadership of this country need to be removed and they need to be voted out. That's the only way we're solving these problems that we have in Bali. Sure.
Yeah, true, definitely. I think 2024 is when we get to change everything. And yeah, guys, I think we've come to the end of our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we appreciate you engaging with our content. And yeah, do remember to share it, like, and get the message out there. Catch us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook as well. And as always, remember, your freedom is worth fighting for.